So what we're going to look at next is look at adding a different type of guard to the one we looked at earlier, which allowed us to activate a route. This time we want to add a guard that prevents us from clicking outside when a user's, let's say for example, made some changes to their edit page. So let's head back over to VS Code, and inside the SPA, inside the source folder, inside the app folder, and because it's a type of guard, I'm going to add it into this particular folder here, and I'll just create a new file and call it prevent unsaved changes.guard.ts, and we'll need to make this injectable just as we have done with other types of things we're using in Angular are not components, and I'll need to import this from Angular core. So what we want to do in this case, again, we're going to export a class, and we'll call this prevent unsaved changes, and this is going to implement the CanDeactivate interface, and we need to tell it which component this applies to. So in this case, it's the member edit component, and we need to bring in CanDeactivate from Angular router. And we'll also need to bring in our member edit component, and then we'll add the CanDeactivate method. And we'll pass this our component because we need to get access to the form inside this component. So what we'll do, we'll say if the component .edit form, because this is going to tell us if the form is dirty or not. And if it is dirty, we're going to return a confirm, and we'll say, are you sure you want to continue? Any unsaved changes will be lost, and will return true. So if the edit form has been changed in some way, we're going to pop up a confirm dialog box, and if the user clicks OK, they'll move on to the page they're about to navigate to. And if the form isn't dirty, then we're just simply going to return true anyway. If we click no on the confirm box, then we don't return anything. We simply close out the confirm dialog, and the user can go back to editing the form. So because this is a guard, we're going to need to add this to our app module folder file. So let's open this, and we'll add it to our providers just like we did with the auth guard. And we'll add the prevent unsaved changes, and just make sure this is imported correctly at the top as well. So because this is a root guard of some description, we're going to need to add this to our routes.ts file as well. And this time we're going to add it to our member edit component. So I'll just bring the resolve down. And after the resolve itself, we'll add a comma, and we'll say CanDeactivate this time. And this is going to take an array, and we'll say prevent unsaved changes. And this will bring in the guard into the imports in this file as well. So let's go back to our browser and test to see the effects of this. So I'll just go into the edit profile, and let's make some changes and delete all of this text and say test. And if I attempt to click on the matches page, we're going to get a pop-up saying, are you sure you want to continue? And if I click cancel, I don't go anywhere. And if I click it again and click OK, then I get taken to the matches page. However, there are some occasions where this isn't going to work for us, and if I go back and click on Edit Profile, and I make some changes, and I was then to do something like close the browser tab, then I close the browser and I lose my changes. Now Angular's got no control over this. It doesn't have access to anything outside the routes or what it can control, and our browser tab is certainly outside of that route. So if we wanted to prevent the user from clicking a closed tab, then we need to use something in addition to what we've done. So what we can add in this case is something called a host listener decorator. And this has got the ability to listen to our host, in this case the browser, and take an action based on something that's happening inside our browser. So let's see how we can use this. So I'll add an @host listener, and this will bring this in from Angular core. And in here, we need to specify the window before unload. And this is going to take a string array, and in this case, it's going to be the event. And under this, we need to specify an unload notification. And we pass in event of type any. And we'll say if list.editForm is dirty, then the event will return value equals true. And I'm getting a red underline here. This is just a TS-lints error telling us that the instance field not allowed after declaration of instance method. So we just need to move our user up above our host listener, and that will correct that particular error. Now if we head back to our browser, and I'll just go back to localhost 4200, and if I now go to try and edit loader's profile, and I'll clean out the text again and just put in test. And now this time if I attempt to click outside, I'm prevented from doing so and it was off the screen, but we'll get the browser pop-up saying leave site, changes that you made may not be saved. And if I click on cancel, then I stay in the same place. Now we don't have any control over this pop-up. This is the browser specific, and we don't have any control over the text either. We just have to accept what it is. But it does prevent the user from leaving the page before they've had an opportunity to save their changes. And if they click leave, then it does allow them to close the browser window. So what we're going to look at next is persisting this data back to the server. It's all very well preventing the user from leaving the page before they've made changes, but they would be equally enraged if we didn't let them actually persist their changes back to the server. So we'll take a look at that next.